Hello friends, this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel. It's time to set up my bullet journal for October, and I have a really fun, dark, and witchy setup for this month. I think you'll really like it. This time I have some exciting new art supplies to play with, so let me show you those before we get to drawing. A big thank you to Ohuhu for sponsoring this video and for supplying the prize for the giveaway, which I will talk more about at the end of the video, so stick around for that. Around this time last year, I was so lucky to be gifted 160 dual-tipped brush pens from Ohuhu, and then again this week they sent me a bunch of new stuff that I was so excited to receive. I've been wanting to expand my collection of Ohuhu alcohol-based markers, and Ohuhu actually sent me their 104 marker set from their Honolulu series. I've used a lot of different brands of alcohol-based markers over the years, like Copics, Pro Markers, Deleter, Tombow, etc. And let me tell you, the Ohuhu alcohol markers are just as good as the Copics in my opinion, and a lot cheaper. These colors are just gorgeous. The barrel is round and there is a chisel nib and a brush nib, and they're both really great, and the markers are really juicy. The set comes in a case that you can see here, and it also comes with swatch cards. So I swatched all of the markers before filming this video because I really wanted to see what the colors look like, and they're really pretty. But Ohuhu didn't send me only alcohol markers. They actually really spoiled me this time because they also sent me their Kohala micro pen fineliner drawing pens, their gold, silver, and white gel pens, and their Hana Highway fineliner drawing pens. The Hana Highway fineliner drawing pens come with both black and colored fineliners. The colors are in 0.5 and the black ones come in several sizes. And these are kind of like regular felt nib fineliners. I use these for most of the lines in my bullet journal setup this month. I don't actually use colored fineliners very much, but now that I have these, I might have to try using them a little bit more because the colors are really pretty. The Kohala micro pens are really nice, and they have more like liquid ink than the most fineliners you'll see out there. They come in 9 different sizes, including a brush pen. The brush pen is so juicy. I guess they're all quite juicy, and you do have to wait a little bit longer than with regular fineliners before they dry, but they feel really good in my hand and I really like them. The gel pens are amazing. I was skeptical at first because I've tried many gel pens like this in the past. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but let me tell you, these might actually be the best. I'm using them a lot in my setup, the silver and the white especially. But here I'm just swatching them over some of the alcohol markers. I was so surprised at how good these are, especially the silver is gorgeous and they're all so opaque. And the set comes with like 3 gold, 3 silver, and 6 whites, so I'll probably never run out. I can really recommend Ohuhu's art supplies, especially if you're on a budget, because art supplies can be so expensive, and in my experience, Ohuhu's markers are just as good as their more expensive competitors. I actually just purchased some bamboo organizers for my markers, also from Ohuhu, and I'm waiting for them to get here in the mail. I'll let you guys see how I organize all of my markers once they arrive. The organizers were not gifted to me, I paid for them myself. I just really wanted some proper organizers for my markers. Again, a big thank you to Ohuhu for sponsoring this video and for supporting my channel. And now let's put the markers and the pens to the test and get started on my October setup for my bullet journal. A little refresher, if this is your first time here, I'm using a B5 sized notebook and it's quite large. Most people will maybe use an A5 notebook. This is a B5, significantly larger, so there's a lot of room to fill. I was inspired by actually one of my own setups. This was from 2019. I wanted to draw this witch again, but kind of with a little bit of a different color palette and maybe more fitting my current style, although I don't think my style has changed that much since 2019, especially not my like traditional drawing style. So I used the fineliners from Ohuhu for all of my line art. When drawing with markers, I really like to do all of the lines in black beforehand. I know some people like to do colored lines, and when drawing digitally, I definitely like to have colored line art. But when drawing just traditionally like this. I actually prefer the black lines. So I used a few different sizes, mostly the 0.3 because I wanted the lines to be thin but not too thin. I did go over some of the outer lines with a 0.5 fine liner later because I wanted the lines around the outside or around some parts of the drawing to stand out a little bit more. And that's what's so great when using fine liners, is that you can use the different sizes to really make certain parts of your drawing stand out more. And so especially if you're drawing and not planning on coloring it in, using different sizes of fine liners is a really good way to create a little bit of dimension in your drawing. You might recognize the ghost cats that I drew for my October theme last year. So this theme really is a nod both to my 2019 theme and my 2022 theme. I just really enjoy drawing witches. And this time I definitely went for a little bit more of a kind of traditional witch with the broomstick and the witch hat and all of that, which I don't always do, but this time it really felt right. The drawing isn't exactly the same as the one that I drew in 2019 because obviously I can't copy it perfectly, and I did change a few things, like I changed her hand placement so that she can kind of hold the ghost cat, and I also changed the broomstick slightly. I changed her dress slightly and also her top, because in the 2019 version she had this like blouse or shirt, but this time I wanted to create kind of a sheer black kind of skin tight top, and I wanted it to be a little bit transparent. I kept her skin color the same, but I changed her hair color because if you've been keeping up with my Patreon stickers, I drew some witches with kind of purple hair for the October stickers for my patrons. So I wanted to kind of keep the same look for this one. I actually drew a bunch of witches for my patrons this month, and they all have purple hair, like different shades of purple hair, and I think it's really fun. The ghost cats are more of a warm gray, and I chose a marker that most closely resembled the marker color that I used last year for the ghost cats, although that one was a little bit lighter. But of course, when using different kinds of markers, it's hard to get exactly the same shade. When coloring with alcohol-based markers, I usually start with the darkest shade first, and I do the shading parts first. And then I go over with my mid-tone, but I leave space for the highlights. And then I go over all of it with my lightest shade and kind of blend the three shades together that way. I'm sure there are different ways to color with alcohol-based markers, and some people probably start with the lightest shade and go darker. But I really prefer to go dark to light, so I'm just doing what feels right for me, and the same goes for you guys. If you like doing the opposite or just a completely different way of coloring, that's fine too. I don't think that there is like one rule that fits all of us, and there are different techniques to art. I didn't just use markers from this set from Ohuhu, I also used some purple shades from another set of alcohol-based markers that they sent me for Christmas. That pack was the first alcohol-based markers I had tried from Ohuhu, and since then I've just been itching to get some more. So now, like 9 months later, I finally have them, and who knows, I might grow my collection even more in the future. The nibs on markers really make a huge difference. I mostly use the brush nibs on my alcohol-based markers, but all of the markers I own also have a chisel nib, and the chisel nib is really great if you're coloring larger areas, or if you want to use the tip for like some details or something like that. But I really prefer the brush, and I really appreciate that the Ohuhu brush is very soft, so you can make really thin lines or you can make thicker lines. And so I use a combination of thicker and thinner lines in this drawing because sometimes you need more details and sometimes it's okay to just like slap the color on there. And it's nice to work kind of in circles with Copic markers because they won't streak like water-based markers will. And so they're a little bit more forgiving in terms of like your movements and stuff. Because when you're using water-based markers, you will be able to clearly see your lines and how you moved the marker afterwards when it dries. But you won't have that problem with alcohol-based markers, which is why I love them so much. You saw me use the silver gel pen to make the little details on the dress and on the hat. And as you can see, when the light hits it, it's just really, really pretty. After I was done with the drawing, I cut it out with my scissors. And then to cut out the details, like the holes kind of white space, I used my X-Acto knife and I cut out the parts that I wanted to cut out on top of a cutting mat. Definitely don't want to cut on top of my journal because I don't want to cut the journal. And now that I have kind of the centerpiece for my October cover page, we can get on to crafting. I used some dot grid black paper that I scavenged from another notebook that I have, and I just cut out some rectangular shapes and I rounded the corners with my corner rounder. The one that I use is called Kadomaru Pro and I got it on Amazon. I also cut out some of these purple flowers that are actually pet tapes that I got from Journal Say. I'll put links in the description box, of course, as usual. I didn't want to think too much about the composition of this page. I just wanted the black to kind of be a big contrast to the lighter purple shades. And so I layered flowers first and then the black boxes and then my drawing on top of that. So although it looks like there's a lot going on, there are actually just those three components. And then on the left side, I wanted to have a quote page. So I used the same black paper. You can't really see the dot grid on camera maybe, but it is dotted, which makes it a lot easier to cut straight lines, I will say that. And then I put down the flowers kind of behind the black rectangle so that they're just peeking out behind it. It's a really simple way to frame the black paper. I think it turned out really nice. And it even looks a little bit elegant, and using stickers like this is definitely so much easier than drawing them all by myself and a lot less time consuming. So yeah, definitely happy I went with the stickers. The quote that I went with is actually the same that I had in my 2019 setup. It's by Roxane Gay and it says, "Unruly women are always witches no matter what century we're in." If you haven't read Roxane Gay, I can definitely recommend her. She writes a lot on like feminist theory, definitely worth a read. This quote kind of goes along in the same vein as nobody ever made history by following the rules. And as someone who grew up being terrified of breaking the rules and kind of being obsessed with being a good girl, it really resonates with me. And yeah, I'm still scared of breaking the rules to this day, but a little bit less scared than I was before. So that's it for the cover page, and now we can move on to the next spread, which will be my calendar spread. If you watched my September Plan With Me video, you will definitely recognize my layout from September because I'm going with pretty much the exact same layout for October. I really liked my September spreads and the layout has been working really well for me. So I kind of wanted to continue on that good streak, I suppose. Keep the vibes going into October. So I am doing pretty much the exact same thing for this spread as I did for September. But instead of craft paper, I'm using black paper this time. So I'm using one of the Ohuhu white gel pens to draw my calendar. And my lines are definitely not perfect here. I mean, I'm following the dot grid, but still they're not perfectly straight. And that's okay. They don't have to be. I feel like I've said this many times, but in a way, I feel like it's better to have the lines be a little bit wonky than using a ruler and trying to make it look completely perfect. Because when you try to make everything perfect and symmetrical and straight, if you mess up even just a little bit, it becomes so much more apparent that you messed up. While if you go in with a little bit of wonky lines to begin with, that's kind of part of the look. So at least for me, I'm not as worried about messing up when I just go into it with the intention of it not being perfect. So yeah, that's kind of a little nugget of bullet journal wisdom for me today. You might notice that my calendar is actually not starting on the 1st of October. That's because I prefer to have my calendar start on Mondays, and October 1st is on a Sunday. And so if I were to include October 1st and October 30th and 31st in this calendar, it would either be very long or it would not be a perfect rectangle. Like I would have it be like weirdly shaped. So I decided to include the week that starts on the 30th of October and then just skip October 1st entirely, because I have that week with October 1st in my September setup anyway, so I don't really need to have it twice. So that's why my calendar starts on the 2nd of October and then it ends on the 5th of November. And then come my November setups, I will probably start it on October 30th anyway, but this is just a way to lay out the month that makes sense for me. And you might have a different opinion and do it differently in your bullet journal, but that's the beauty of bullet journaling. That's why we have bullet journals and not planners, because we have personal preferences when it comes to how we lay out our monthly setups and our weeklies. Since I want to do some collaging on the spread, I decided to draw or write my header on a separate piece of paper. So I'm using the alcohol markers again because they do have that brush nib, so you can really use them for hand lettering as well. So I just wrote October in a purple shade, and then I used a darker shade to do a little bit of gradient, I guess. I went over the area where the two colors meet with the lighter shade again so that it would look a little bit more smooth, and you can see that there's quite a big difference before and after blending. Now it was a little bit difficult to get the blending perfect because I had to kind of stay within the lines of each letter, but it worked out somehow. I then used the black fine liners to do an outline and a little bit of a drop shadow, and then I just used my scissors to cut out the title. And this will go on the left side of the spread, kind of just above my tasks list. I made this setup a little bit more challenging for myself than it needed to be because I went with silver, and I don't have that much purple washi tape, and definitely not that many purple washi tapes with silver. But I do have some washi tape samples that some of you guys have sent to me over the past couple of years, and those really helped. So I was able to combine washi tapes and some ephemera. I used some kind of vintage looking papers, which might not be everyone's first choice when it comes to like a purple and black theme, but I wanted to kind of tie in a little bit of like, not dark academia necessarily, but like grimoires and kind of secret society vibes. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I wanted the writing and the paper from old books and, you know, that kind of look. So I combined that with purple ephemera because I don't have that much purple ephemera, so there's no way I could do just purple. And I feel like the beige and white papers kind of break up the colors a little bit and make it a little bit more interesting than if it was just monochromatic. So I glued everything down, and I have the two sections. The bigger square is for my tasks for October, and then at the bottom I have 4 sections for books that I'm reading in October. I did this for September, and I really like how it's working, and I've just been gluing in little printouts of the books that I've been reading, and I'll show you guys over on Instagram what it looks like once it's full. I kind of finished off this page with some stickers, and I used the stickers that I made for my patrons for this month. So if you are on the Charles or the Twin Charles tier of my Patreon, you will get this sticker sheet in the mail if you're a member during September. And if you join in October, you'll be able to buy the sheet in the secret shop if you didn't make it in time for the September Happy Mail. And the secret shop is pretty much just a part of the website that is password protected, and my patrons get the password for it each month. So the password changes every month, and the secret shop has all of the previous Patreon exclusive stickers in there. So there will always be some leftovers. I always order a little bit more than I need every month just because I don't want to run out accidentally. It has only happened once, and I'm determined to never let it happen again. Building the collages on the spread was fairly easy because of the black paper that is it's taking up a lot of the space in the center of the spread. So especially on the right side here with the calendar, you just need something kind of along the edges that goes just barely behind the black paper and then peeking out on the side, kind of just framing it. So I used some of the same flowers as I used on the cover page to tie it all together, and then just more stickers basically. Some of my favorite stickers that I recently released are the snake stickers. I had snakes in like brown earthy tones before, but I thought that it would be perfect to make some purple snakes for this witching hour collection that I released in my shop earlier this month. And that's pretty much it for my monthly planning spread for October. So now we can get on to my weeklies. I'm not going to make all of my weekly spreads in this video like I did in my September plan with me. I'm going to make the first and the last week of October. And the reason for that is that I am actually still waiting on some spooky themed stationery that is coming to me in the mail, but it's not here yet. And I really want to use some of that stationery in my setup in October because otherwise I feel like I have to wait until next year. So I am going to make 2 weekly spreads here, the first and the last. And the reason why I chose the first and the last is because I am doing Dutch doors again. So the first and the last spread will be visible at all times, kind of, throughout the month. So I made these tabs pretty much the same way that I made my tabs last month. I just divided the height of the notebook into 3, and I made 3 tabs. So they are looking a little bit different from last month because I did rounded corners this time, but they are pretty much the same. And I had already cut out some rectangles in the black paper to go along the columns on the side. So on the left side, I will have my habit tracker, and on the right side, I will have my weekly focus. It worked really well for me to have the habit tracker on the same page as the weeklies in September. I've been filling it out very regularly, almost every day. So I'm bringing that with me into October. You know, when you find something that works, you just gotta stick with it. So I could only fit 3 habits this time around because I really wanted to use the vinyl sticker that I sent to my patrons this month, which is the girl in the bottom left of the page. She's surrounded by moths and they have this mirror effect on them and it looks really cool. So I really wanted to kind of highlight that in my setup, and now she will be visible throughout the entire month. So that's really great. My weeklies are going to be fairly simple. So I'm just making like an October header, and then I'm using washi tape and ephemera and stickers for kind of the daily headers. The purple stamping pad or the stamping ink that I'm using is a Ranger archival ink in the shade Petunia. It's like a dark purple. I got it last year. I quite like it, but it is very, I don't know if it's juicy or if it's just what it's made of, but it actually shows through the pages, even in this notebook, which is 160 GSM. So if you have thinner paper, I would be careful with this type of ink. My favorite ink pads are actually the VersaFine ones, but I don't have a purple VersaFine ink, so yeah, that's why I went with the Ranger one. All of the number and day stickers in the spread are from my own shop as well. You know, I used to be the kind of person who liked to set up their weekly spreads every week, but as my life has gotten busier and busier, I find that it's actually a lot better for me to set up my weekly spreads ahead of time so that they're all ready before the month starts. At first it was a little bit weird for me to realize this because I used to be so against doing that because I was like, oh, you might need something else that week, or your needs will be different depending on like how much you have to do or how much time you have on your hands. But I get it now, especially when I have this one theme going throughout the entire month. It's a lot easier for me to just do it all at once because then I can kind of put away all of that stationery. And I guess in my case, it's also a little bit unique because I am just immediately thinking of next month's theme because I have to come up with the video and I have to make the printables and the stickers and all of that. So once I have made my setup, I want to be a little bit done with that theme, if that makes sense. So then I can like enjoy using the journaling spreads, but I don't have to like keep creating things with that theme. I'm not sure when it happened, but I guess I just came to the realization that it was a lot easier for me to make all of the weeklies all at once. And I did that in September and I'm doing it for October, although I will be making 2 weekly spreads at a later time, but it will still be very soon. And I think that it's a good thing for me right now. And maybe my preferences will change again in the future, and that's okay because I can just change it up and do whatever I want pretty much. If you're wondering what I'm writing on the tabs, I'm just writing the number of the week so that when I open up a weekly spread, it will have the week number on both sides of the page. So October starts with week 40, so I wrote week 40 on the tab that is connected to the first weekly spread. And as we're moving on to the last spread that I'm setting up in this video, this will hold my weekly focus sections. And this is where I write down kind of keywords for what I want to focus on in each of the weeks in October. It's nice for me to kind of have these weekly, I guess I can call them projects, like things that I focus on during a certain week, because I can't do everything all of the time, even though it does feel like I have to do that sometimes. So this weekly spread will be a little spookier, I guess, than the rest of my setup, because I really wanted to use some of my ghost cat stickers and also my spooky dinosaur friend sticker sheets, because this is one of my all-time favorite sticker sheets. And it has my dinosaur friends all dressed up in spooky costumes. So I basically built it the same way that I built the other weekly spread. I just started from the Sunday, I suppose, instead of the Monday, and kind of built it that way. Just wanted to see what would work well. And since I have the weekly focus sections on the right side here, it was kind of nice to build the spread from the right towards the left so that I know that it would connect well. Honestly, I think that it turned out really cute in the end, so I'm really happy I went with the dinosaurs for the spread. I actually made this sticker sheet for the first time last year, and it sold out really quickly because I only made like 50 of them, I think. And then this year I made a lot more so that I wouldn't sell out immediately. So far the plan has worked really well. I am not sold out yet, so if you want to get the spooky dinosaurs, there is still time. Like I said, I wanted to use my ghost cat stickers as well because I have the ghost cats on the cover page, but not really anywhere else in the setup. And right now, the freebies that I'm giving away with each order in my shop is a kind of transparent ghost cat vinyl sticker and also a mini sticker sheet with ghost cats on it. And I wanted to use these because I rarely get to use my freebie stickers in my bullet journal. It just never seems to fit perfectly. So this time I was like, I'm gonna use the ghost cats because I love the ghost cats. They're some of my favorite characters, I guess, that I draw. I just think that they're really cute, and they always either look very surprised and a little stupid or they look a little bit mischievous, and I just think that they're really cute. On this spread I fit Thursday through Sunday on the right side, and then I'm doing Monday through Wednesday on the left side. The left side is a little bit slimmer than the right side, so I figured it was fine to do 3 on the left side and 4 days on the right side. I also made a very similar header for the spread as for my monthly planning spread. I just made it a lot smaller so that it would fit on the Dutch door because it's not very wide. I made a little mini collage at the top of the spread following my golden rule for collaging, which is 1 washi tape, 1 ephemera and 1 sticker. And then in this case also the October header. It just always works. It always works. As we are approaching fall, I am getting a little bit worried about the lighting because it gets really dark here in Norway during the fall and the winter. There is not much daylight, and I pretty much rely on daylight for filming my videos, but here I actually had to use some artificial lighting because it was a really rainy day and the skies were so dark, and it seemed like it was twilight all day. It was really weird, but just one of those days. But it just reminded me again that it's gonna get really dark here pretty soon. So I will have to use more artificial lighting in the future. It's just the way it is when you live in Northern Europe. But anyway, here is a final flip through of all of the spreads that I made in this video. I'll be sure to put some pictures or maybe even videos over on my Instagram when I make the final 2 weekly spreads, because I'm really excited to see how those turn out as well. Overall, I'm really happy with my spreads this month. You can see that the white gel pen did transfer a little bit, but I don't really think it will be a problem. I'm gonna have to write with a white gel pen on the black paper anyway, so I think it will just get covered up, to be honest. After I made my September spreads, I was wondering if the reason I liked the setup was so much was because of the color scheme and like the warm tones, but after making my October spreads using the same layouts, just different colors, I can honestly say that it's the layout that does it. I really love this layout and it works perfect in a B5 notebook, and I can't believe it took me like 9 months to figure it out because I've been using this notebook since January. But it probably means that you'll see more Dutch doors from me this year, and then come December I'll be setting up a new notebook for 2024, and that will probably not be a B5 notebook. I mean, I really love this one, but I am ready for something a little bit smaller. You can let me know in the comments what size of notebook you prefer, and if you have any suggestions for the size that I should use for 2024, because I love to hear you guys' thoughts and you might have some insights that I haven't thought about already. And now let's talk giveaway. It's been a while since I did a giveaway on my channel, so I'm really excited to be teaming up with Ohuhu to give one lucky winner a set of 60 Maui dual-tipped brush pens. These are similar to the markers that I received last year, but they have brand new packaging. They look really nice. I've been using mine a lot and I think you guys will really like them too. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is subscribe to my channel, click like on this video, and write a comment down below telling me what you will use the brush pens for. It can be anything. A winner will be picked at random from eligible comments, and I will announce the winner on October 11th. Be sure to turn on notifications for my channel if you enter the giveaway, because I will be announcing the winners over on the community tab on my channel. And if you have notifications turned on, then you'll be notified as soon as that post goes up. I have experienced in the past that winners of giveaways don't claim their prize because they just don't see the community post. And I really don't want that to happen again, so if you do enter, be sure to turn on notifications. Also, if you watch this video all the way to the end, put a ghost emoji in your comment to let me know. Thank you again to Ohuhu for sponsoring this video and the giveaway. And a big thank you to all of you guys for watching this video and supporting my channel. It really means a lot. A special thank you to my patrons as well. I hope you're all having a lovely day and I'll see you next time. Bye!